The other day, one of the members brought me an article regarding everyday heroes. Thank you, Judy. As we recall, the tragic events of 9/11 that happened 20 years ago. Can you believe that? 20 years. It's already been 20 years. I feel like maybe it was like 5 or 10 years ago, but 20 years. That's pretty amazing. But anyway, during that tragic event, there was a terrorist attack, as you know, and at the New York's Twin Towers and a few other places. And the two Twin Towers have collapsed, and many tragically died that day. And it was something that I think most of us will never forget. I think most of us know where we were exactly when we found out of the news that when that happened. And there are many heroes that day in terms of the first responders who went in to try and help the people who were affected by this event. Something that's really kind of tragic that I heard on the news yesterday was that there are now more people who have died from the effects of 9/11, you know, the first responders and all of the health condition, the health issues that arose after that. There are more people who have died from that than the actual event itself, the Twin Towers coming down now. So it goes to show the tragedy of this event. And it kind of reminds me of the atomic bomb too. The atomic bomb, there were, what is it? Just in Hiroshima, 60,000 people died. And then after that, thereafter, the aftermath of everything with people having health conditions and various physical ailments that happen just continues on to this day. And so this is how the atrocities of war and the atrocities of hurting one another can be like. Something that I would like to go into next week. So anyway, the article goes on to say that children are actually innately heroes in that there is a natural feeling within all children and people to want to care about others, and this is a part of human nature. The article goes on to list some small things that children do for other people. And for example, one boy stayed after school to help the janitor sweep up. One daughter helped her exhausted mother by cooking for her family. One boy gave himself up in the game of hide and seek so that his younger sister, because his younger sister wasn't able to find anyone. And one child brought extra snacks with him to school because he knew that some other child in his class would probably forget their snack to school. So there are many more listed, and I found this to be very interesting in how people, and children especially, have this ability and the natural feeling to want to help others. So the world of compassion is what makes this world go round. And I'm not just trying to paint a rosy picture here, right, of the world. I'm very well aware of the fact that there are many things that aren't happy about this world, you know, that aren't positive and that aren't amazing. For example, you know, just this tragedy of 9/11 itself, right, was obviously not a happy and joyous occasion. There are many things like war, famine, disease, fights between people, anger, and a whole list of things that are not pleasant in the world. And yet, Buddhism says that this world is one of compassion, right? That's a pretty bold statement if you think about it. What do we mean by compassion then? Who possesses compassion? Who is capable of compassion? And these are the questions that we address in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. I'd like to give you some other examples to think about as well. I don't know if you've seen these videos on YouTube, but if you just look it up, I'm sure tons of these videos will come up. But these are videos of not people, but animals that are acting compassionately towards others. Right? We hear stories of how dogs protect children from other dangerous people. I saw one involving an abusive babysitter, and the dog was protecting the babysitter, protecting the baby from the babysitter. I've heard of a cat that dragged a baby out of a burning house before. I saw a video of a girl pretending to cry to see what her horse would do. And her horse came over to console her by putting his head next to hers. There are videos of wild cougars or pumas and bears that grow a loving relationship with their caretakers. They even play with their caretakers. So we see, and then also another example, the gorilla Coco. I don't know if you know what Coco is, but Coco was communicating with us about love and friendship, right? And she even went to call, I don't know if this video is real or not, but apparently it is. I had to look it up, but apparently She says humans are stupid, right? Because we don't take care of the earth, right? And so that this is a gorilla that's signing this, right? And so we see this. It stems from this world of compassion. And there's kind of a hard word we like to use here in Buddhism, but it's the word called sentient beings or sentient beings, sentient beings. And all living and animate things fall under this category. Humans, animals, critters, bugs, snakes, lizards, sharks. I don't like sharks, but sharks, but birds, bats, even trees. All of these things live in this world of compassion, whether we realize that or not. So animals too understand compassion. They speak the language of compassion. They might speak it in a different way, perhaps in a different dialect, so to speak, but nevertheless, compassion is a universal language. We humans can understand compassion too, not well, right? But we understand it when we see it and when we feel it, when we experience it. We can even display it at times. But Buddhism says that we aren't perfect at it. We can speak and understand the language of compassion somewhat, but we are not experts at it. The expert is the Buddha, something we should all strive for. And the truly compassionate being is the Buddha. The Buddha is compassion, and this is why we are Buddhists. What we are doing is learning that path to become the Buddha by learning how to be truly compassionate. When we are learning along the way as we grow up, we start with little things like helping a friend or opening a door up for an obachan at the grocery store, or giving money to charity, et cetera, et cetera. We might stumble along the way and not act compassionately at certain times in life. But as Buddhists, we are constantly reminded about this path to becoming truly compassionate people. We are constantly learning about the world of compassion, and we are constantly trying to work towards reaching this understanding. And that's why we come to temple. That's why we learn about Buddhism and kind of recalibrate ourselves every Sunday service or every so often, right? We try to learn about the Buddha's teachings so that we can learn to understand about this world of compassion and emulate it as best as we can. Everyone can understand compassion, but it is very hard to be compassionate. And yet, babies understand compassion. Elderly folks understand compassion. Everyone can understand compassion. So let us emulate, copy, mimic, and reflect compassion. The article goes on to use this word hero. Who are these heroes? In Buddhism, we have heroes. That's called the Bodhisattva. And the Bodhisattva ideal is, in our tradition, Bodhisattva Dharmakara, which I will talk about some other time. But today, Bodhisattva Dharmakara establishes the vows to become Amida Buddha, which we try to emulate. So there's a Japanese word for emulating. It's called, I don't know if you know the Japanese word for manabu. Like if you, for example, do you guys know the word gakko? Gakko is like Nihongo gakko, right? Gakko is the word for school. Well, gakko, gaku is, there's another reading for gaku, which is manabu, right? Manabu. Manabu comes from the word maneru, which means to copy, right? Because back in the day, this is a long time ago, but the apprenticeship in Japan was a big deal, right? The tradition was passed on to the first son, right? A very patriarchal. Nevertheless, this idea of copying, right? Learning off the back of your predecessors, right? For example, sensei, right? Sensei, if you break down that kanji for sensei, sen means to come first. Se means lives, right? So the person who has lived before you, right, is the back that you are following, right? That's where sensei comes from. So we copy maneru, the sensei, the person who has simply been born before you and has lived prior to you. So that's where these things come from, right? And then that's how we learn over time about this idea of copying. When we copy, we learn to become it. We eventually become it. I saw this Zen documentary one time, and the Zen priest is like 80 some odd years old guy. He says, at first, I did not like Zen Buddhism. I did not like sitting meditation, any of that stuff. I did not feel like a monk, right? My mind was all over the place. But when you go through the motions and do this day in and day out, copy, copy, copy my teachers and what I was told, eventually over time, you become it, right? It's kind of like this idea of fake it till you make it, right? It's you copy, 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 and then you become it, right? And so that is what we are learning here in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism in our Sunday services. Maneru, maneru, copy, copy, copy. Don't copy me, okay? I'm a bad example. I am copying what I'm learning about compassion in Shinran Shonin and people like Takeko Kujo-sama and Mrs. Yaeko Yasuhiro-san. Those are the people to emulate. Those are the people to copy, okay? And with that, I would like to end today's Dharma message. Thank you very much. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.